up real high. If it's on somewhere, it's probably also turned up really high and it's picking up the sound too. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go pick up the stream. I'm gonna send you guys over. You can just cut to it.
There are seats in the front, don't leave.
Okay, coach.
That's the desktop audio though.
Welcome. Welcome, distinguished guests, faculty members, administrators, students, and esteemed alumni to this exceptional gathering that unites our vibrant architecture community. As the chair of the architecture department, it is both an honor and a pleasure to stand before you today commemorating the growth, achievement, and aspirations of our exceptional students. This event holds a special place in my heart, providing us with a moment to pause and reflect on the remarkable journeys of our students throughout their academic endeavors. Together, we envision the future of our community, an environment that thrives on innovation, embraces challenges, and nurtures unconventional ideas. In our pursuit of excellence, we are committed to building a school that transcends traditional boundaries, embraces difficult problems as opportunities for growth, and encourages purposeful design. This ambition, deeply rooted in the ethos of the School of Architecture, is not merely a proclamation, but a commitment to be a continuous work in progress. We are dedicated to fostering an environment that nurtures creativity, encourages rigorous practice, and celebrates diverse perspectives. Today, our excitement, or at least mine, is palpable as we eagerly await insights from each of the students today and how they share their unique journeys. Their perspectives and experience are invaluable contributions to the ongoing narrative shaping the Woodbury School of Architecture. Through this chorus of ideas, fueled by the passion and dedication of our students, we continue to evolve and impact the profession in which these students are about to join. Allow me to provide a brief overview of today's agenda. We'll begin with a poem, and then we will commence our grand critique. And it will be introduced by Annalie Garkani, whose invaluable work on this event deserves special recognition. She will then welcome each participant and their presentations, which features 5 exceptional students. Following their presentations, we will open the floor to audience questions. The Dean, Heather Flood, will conclude with a presentation of awards and invite us to a reception right through those doors. Before we delve into the rich tapestry of our students' achievements, I'm delighted to welcome Sarah Ray, who will share a poem that grounds today's event. Sarah first presented this piece at a slam poetry event led by professors Paulette Sigley and Mike Skonskin. The emotions stirred by her words resonated deeply with me. Having the privilege of witnessing the growth of this graduating class from teaching both our graduate and undergraduate classes' first studio semesters at Woodbury, I have seen this group overcome significant challenges, including the loss of a classmate, navigating a global pandemic, and everything that has happened in its wake. Through all of this, this class has exhibited remarkable resilience and growth. As we embark on this journey today, let us revel in the spirit of collectivity, innovation, and perseverance that defines the Woodbury School of Architecture. I'm confident that the insights shared today will inspire us to push boundaries of what is possible and to shape a greater future. Thank you and congratulations to this awardees, and many thanks to the faculty advisors who donated their time. But without further delay, let's let the celebration begin. Sarah?
Hello. I'm super honored to read this poem today. It's called The Architecture School Journey. Dis-ease and fear, everything I wanted was here, but I was worried I couldn't handle the challenges ahead. Dread, what if I couldn't make it all 5 years? You don't belong here, you'll never succeed. You don't have what it takes to compete. Intrusive thoughts, imposter syndrome, just jump through the hoops, that's the system. Desk crits reviews, what's the use? You're not up to standard, you're always a mess. Everyone can see that you're so fucking stressed. Late nights and tears, so much frustration. I want this degree, but I'm losing patience. Am I depressed? It's hard to cope. I'm constantly putting myself under a microscope. Is it obvious? Can you tell I'm unwell? I don't know why it feels like I'm going through hell. I think it's of my own making. This isn't so bad. Why can't I just feel happy instead of disconnected and sad? I think I'm improving. I see the progress. I don't hate my work. It's starting to all make sense. It's my 4th year and I'm surrounded by mentorship. We built a pavilion. It was an ambitious project. Look how it glows at night. Wow, what an effect. It's 5th year. The journey's almost over. I reflect and am baffled at how far we've traveled. I'm grateful and ecstatic. A new chapter's on the horizon. I'll miss Woodies, the trees, and the messy advising. I've learned so much. I've grown even more. I won't just toss my cap and gown on the floor. I'll hang it in my closet. I'll keep it wrinkle-free. I'm proud to wear it. I've become who I always wanted to be. My cap is a crown of achievement. My degree, a representation of all that I've worked for. Soon, my friends and I will walk on stage in matching outfits under a warm May sun, triumphant. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, mostly for making me follow that. Thank you, Erin and Sarah, for your great words. That's me. Let us get started. Good afternoon, School of Architecture students and faculty. Oops, that's not supposed to happen. Sorry. It's going on its own. Stop. No. Okay. Let's maybe do that. I apologize for shoving my name in your face. Good afternoon, School of Architecture students and faculty. Before I begin, I'd like to quickly thank our administrators, Galina and Hannah, for always being on the ground and making these things happen, and the wonderful IT team who've been here for a couple of hours and working really hard. Thank you, Aaron and Heather, for making this event come to life every year. This year, I have the privilege of presenting the Grand Critique prompt and introducing our distinguished speakers. As Aaron mentioned, I will read the prompt that the students were given and then introduce each of them to present, followed by Q&A. Dean Flood has declared this year's School of Architecture theme to be the Year of Power. This can have many meanings for each of us, of course. Grand Critique is somewhat of a testing ground to check in, to reflect, and to do that through the voices of our accomplished students. One would argue that the students have the power, and this is the perfect venue for them to exercise that power. Thus, the selected students who will be presenting today are challenged to formulate a response to a simple prompt. What is your power as a trained architect in the world post-graduation? The question can feel a bit arbitrary, like when we're asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years during a job interview? It's somewhat of an absurd sentiment to forecast the future none of us can possibly predict. The true answer is always, we have no clue. So let's add some salt to this question. What can be your power? This is what I'm supposed to do. What can be your power as a trained architect in the world post-graduation? The question can feel, oh, I'm sorry, went back. But salt isn't enough to make this dish delectable. Let's add some pepper and a few spices. Do you have any power as a trained architect post-graduation? Struggling with the thing. There we go. But as Mark Erickson says, now we're cooking. Without attempting to presume our dean's intentions or worse, misinterpret her wisely appointed theme, let's pose the question in a more meat and potatoes or tofu and potatoes kind of way. This is totally gluten-free. What does power mean to you as you complete your educational career and strive for an exciting new chapter in the professional world as a trained architect? As educators, we are often looking for obvious answers. As students, you might often think we're asking trick questions. This one is not. You obviously have power. What will hopefully follow in your path is your dedication to examining this power and what it looks like for you and you alone. Not what should be or what is. Not what the expectations might be from your families, peers, or instructors, but what you would like it to be. Although these 5 students will be up here today, they may or may not represent the views of their cohorts. But what they do represent is Woodbury's influence in their design training, enough to speak truthfully, confidently, empathetically, and responsibly. As we hear their words and look at their work through their eyes, let's take the time to celebrate them and their fellow soon-to-be graduates. As Grand Critique should be always, this is a moment to cherish all that our collective does every year. With that, let me bring up our first presenter. ARC's highest GPA, Ariel Hovsepian, advised for this presentation by Aviva Rubin. Come on up, Ariel.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ariel, and my presentation today is about harnessing power for positive transformation. Growing up, a career in architecture wasn't on my radar, as it was relatively unfamiliar to both my friends and family. In 2018, during career uncertainties, I enrolled at Pasadena City College, impulsively exploring architecture courses to understand a field I know little about. At PCC, I delved into learning software and defining my visual aesthetic while questioning if architecture was the right fit for me. Despite these uncertainties, in fall 2021, I transferred to Woodbury, embarking on a journey to explore where my passion lies within architecture and to deeply understand what it means to be an architect or what power architects hold. Now, as I wrap up and reflect upon my educational journey and begin an exciting new chapter in the professional world, I deeply value and embrace the transformative power of architects to drive both positive and meaningful change. In Studio 5, I used my power to foster community when tasked with designing a 100-unit housing complex. We faced the challenge of creating a vibrant community space on a narrow parcel in downtown LA. My concept aimed to revive the quiet and secluded adjacent street while emphasizing community engagement through public amenities and landscaping. My project's power lies in cultivating a sense of community, featuring a large plaza at its heart that opens up to the street. The interconnected interior-exterior circulation system on the residential levels is designed to enhance mobility, encouraging interactions among residents. Through intentional design strategies and a commitment to interconnected living, the project strives to bring about positive change, representing urban revitalization with a dedication to fostering community connections. In Studio 6, my project partner Christopher and I used our power to advocate for ecological preservation when designing a science and education center on top of a jetty. Our concept addressed the human-caused environmental impacts negatively affecting the project site. In particular, the design seeks to address air and water pollution and the effects of sea level rise on the delicate habitat and wildlife of the adjacent Bologna wetlands and the surrounding body of water. We proposed a multifunctional screen facade where it starts as an oyster farm, and as it ascends, it evolves into an irrigation system, misting fresh water into the green roof and providing passive cooling. The green roof serves as a refuge for migrating birds, addressing the challenge of habitat loss. The project's power lies in its commitment to ecological preservation by providing a space for wildlife in the face of environmental changes and fostering biodiversity. In Studio 7, I used my power to breathe new life and create a sense of togetherness and harmony when tasked with designing a distillery located in a secluded industrial zone. The concept revolved around seamlessly blending a distillery into its industrial surroundings, notably a railway bridge that divides the site in two. The project's power lies in its approach to cultivate a deeply connected atmosphere, honoring the site's features and nurturing a vibrant community spirit. The division of the structure into public and private zones, along with the emergence of terraces, strives to foster a welcoming community atmosphere. Through its architectural commitment to unity and revitalization, the project becomes a powerful force for positive change, representing a dedication to fostering community engagement and enriching the local environment. Now, as I work on my degree project, my aim is to harness the collective power of community members, enabling them to unite and tackle the issue of low green coverage. My focus remains on using my influence to promote social justice and contribute to ecological restoration. The challenge at hand is to address both environmental issues and the historic lack of green spaces within South Central LA. My concept revolves around empowering residents through hands-on learning and active participation in ecological activities. The project's strength will not only lie in fostering community engagement and environmental stewardship, but also in promoting social justice by providing more accessible green spaces to communities that have historically lacked them. From creating community spaces to advocating for ecological resilience and social justice, each project has allowed me to realize the profound impacts architects can have. I am excited to carry this commitment into the professional realm, serving as a driving force for positive transformation. As I conclude my educational journey in architecture, I express my heartfelt gratitude to the faculty, professors, and classmates for their valuable contributions in making this experience both impactful and enjoyable. Let us embark on this journey together, creating spaces that reflect the best of humanity and contribute to a more interconnected, sustainable, and just future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariel. Oops. Our next presenter is the BARC student choice, Eloy Sanchez, advised for this presentation by Matthew Gillis. Come on up.
Okay. First off, I want to thank the faculty, Woodbury, for organizing this event, and for my peers for giving me this opportunity to share a little bit about my experience here at Woodbury. Well, that changed right away. Okay, so as I began to think about the grand critique and this year's theme of the Year of Power, I found myself in a stump. How do I begin to explain power and everything I've learned and what I've accomplished here at my time at Woodbury? I began to think, and what better way than through one of my favorite animes, Demon Slayer. Each Demon Slayer began at Final Selection, a place where they have to survive for 7 days in an area full of demons with no aid from the outside world. It kind of reminded me of my first semester here at Woodbury. Only we had plenty of help. As I began to think to myself, how am I going to survive? I came into Woodbury only knowing a few skills: hand drafting, AutoCAD, and model making. I began to freak out, but a little voice told me, "You got this." That was my wife. So I made my final selection. I made my way to final selection. Sure enough, on the first day, I encountered 3 demons that many of you may know and others will one day. Can you guys guess who they are? No? That's right, Rhino, Keyshot, and Grasshopper. These demons were going to put up a fight. I didn't see how I was going to make it this semester with only a few skills in hand. I said to myself, I'm not going to survive. But I snapped out of it, knowing that I've been through worse, and I marched on, and I took on my first victory. This win gave me new skills and techniques on how to represent my project, using topography to visualize depth through lines, perspective views like obliques, figuring out digital line weights, and making digital model renders. I had to come up with a design that helped us from current conditions, so I decided to make an that was my bad. I took that win, and as the sun rose on the final day, I knew that the worst was behind me. Boy, was I wrong. You will see later on why. I took on my second mission, Studio 4. It was giving me a description of my next target, and it was up to me on how to approach it. Having only a few skills from my last semester, I grabbed my sword and I hit the trail. I had to come up with a design that helped us from current conditions, so I decided to make an armor that resembles something similar to what I wore in the military. The design was to create an armor to help with anxiety and depression by using aromatherapy, putting yourself within nature and working together to help one another. I also got pretty good at sewing. This approach helped me to connect this concept to the final project, a student center, using the same techniques of introducing nature to my design, using greenery to provide new smells and a new home to insects and animals. I wanted to have fun with this project, and I took a different approach to represent my ideas, using my childhood and my past to make this project personal. By doing so, allowed me to find my own style to represent my design. Third year was that year where I began to put it all together, taking the prompts and finding a relationship to my past to keep me fully engaged. Taking on my next target, Studio 5, housing. For the first project, we had to design an ADU. The target was to design a space for a single family, with a single mother with 2 kids. This project hit home for me. Growing up with only my mom and my 2 siblings, I wanted to create something that we only dreamed of. Having a small square footage to work with was enough for me to divide each space for everyone to feel comfortable. This project was one of my favorite, and I was sure happy with the results. The final project was to design a 100-unit complex. I'm not a fan of gated communities, so my design focused on providing more spaces for public use, minimizing the ground space for construction, introduce a large area to dedicate amenities to the surrounding communities. But I was not done here. My next stop was Studio 6. This was the semester when I picked up a new skill, teamwork. Here I met none other than Inosuke, or should I say Jorge, El Tío. I am sure he and I were thinking the same thing, if we chose the right partner. It was kind of too late to go back now. We chose correctly. We worked to produce amazing work, at least to me. Using our strengths, helping each other learn new skills allowed us to have a successful project. Strengthening my illustrator skills and expanding my model making materials. This was also the first time me using the making complex. Thanks, Jorge. Building new skills and relationships, I knew fourth year was going to be a breeze. At least that's what I thought. I remember when I said in final selection how I thought this was going to be the toughest semester. Well, yeah, I learned that Studio 7 was going to be worse. Comprehensive was on a different level. From my previous encounters, my life experience here was not going to be enough. I had to understand the relationship between old and new and how these spaces are built, spending countless hours and all-nighters trying to find a solution using the facade strategy I had while still focusing on providing plenty of community spaces. I wanted to create an experience by the use of the material of the facade. The facade was focused on using recycled plastic that creates tiles. I tried to make one out of plastic water bottles that I found around the house, but as you can see, I didn't get the results I wanted. Instead, I used resin to help me translate the levels of transparency and translucency. After an exhaustive battle, I was off to my next mission, Studio 8. We had a lottery to choose the demon of our interest. Since I was gaining a deep passion for fabrication, I chose the demon who will allow me to build something in order to defeat it. This demon was not to be messed with. Digital fabrication was the key player to take this demon down. The goal was to create the joint. The goal was to create a joint that took advantage of having 7 axes to mill. In the digital realm, multiple iterations of pavilions was created to finally choose the one. Yeah. And after the final design, the next step was to make the list of all the members in order to get them milled. We developed a strategy to minimize waste. The rule was dividing members by 2.5 feet and not exceeding the max length of 10 feet. We spent a lot of time separating the members in the digital realm and as well as the making phase. The final step was to fabricate and install. With only 2.5 weeks left in the deadline, we began to worry. The good thing is that this project was not done alone. Thanks to the whole studio, we managed to finish this together. And we took our next win. So now I'm off to Studio 9, Topic Studio. Once again, we had the opportunity to choose our next demon. Since fabrication was drawing my attention, I took on another stab at making and fabricating, taking all I have learned to this point and putting it into practice. The studio gave us a new perspective of designing using a specific technique and material to build. I took on bending as a technique and wood for my material. It was frustrating at first because I was not getting the results I wanted. The scale that I was working with was the issue. After a few practice, my design began to develop. Using the material's strengths and weakness, I was able to create a woven hut to preserve culture and techniques. The space developed from intersecting woven structures and the site from where the water helps it to bend. My intent was to design a ritual space for the natives and the public use, as a place to reflect on the past and provide a space to pass on cultural traditions. I was not sure I was going to come out. I didn't know what I was going to get out of these techniques, but the project taught me patience and to trust the process, something I should have known from the start, and even got pretty good at weaving, if I do say so myself. I figured out after a long battle I was going to have some time off, but I was wrong. I was off to my next mission, Rome. What can I say about Rome? It was a crazy adventure and an unforgettable experience for sure. This trip helped me see architecture in a whole new way. Standing next to places we only discuss in school has a way different feeling. It was something you can't describe. Being able to see the craftsmanship that went to every corner and the size was incredible. The food was unbelievable, and I was not expecting to see a large amount of graffiti. I was able to reconnect with the skill that I started with, sketching. It felt great to be back to the basics, putting ink on paper. I wondered if I still had it in me. You can say my training restarted. But this was it. After Rome, I was on my way to my last mission. Everything I have learned in the past 4 years has come to this one moment, thesis. This last semester, I'm reflecting on myself and finding my interests. With the skills I have developed up until now, I can make this thesis meaningful just like all my other work. I chose this anime for a reason. The main character, Tanjiro, does not seek greatness. Demon or human, he respects each life. Through his journey, he begins to find his strengths and from the people he encounters. The faculty and my peers have helped me find that here, and I'm thankful for all the faculty, my peers, that made this experience unforgettable. Thank you.
Okay. Our next presenter is BArch Faculty Choice, Ruby Pedrozetti, advised for this presentation by Aaron Gensler.
Hi everyone, my name is Ruby Pedrozetti, and for this presentation I decided to organize with a few cards that sort of represent the different eras that I went through while on my journey through the program here at Woodbury. And tarot is just a set of 78 cards. They each have their own special meanings and can mean different things if they're upright or reversed. So that totals out to be like 156 different outcomes. But I learned it in my time here just as a tool to sort of reflect and find meaning in the everyday environment and just digest the world around us. And the moon card sort of represents uncertainty and illusion and the things that we cannot see or understand. And that was definitely a lot of the feeling that I had during the beginning of my journey here at Woodbury, just because we literally only had a semester and a half, and then we started, it was full lockdown, you know, we had to be online. So I found a lot of comfort in making art, and art and activism play a big role in how I think about architectural design. I like to tailor my work to the users, allowing for historical and social context to direct the project. And I was able to do that with this housing studio, which allowed me to focus on a site in downtown LA and create a women's shelter that could help to empower the community. And my sketches are a big way that I think through designs and generate architectural forms. And I enjoy delving into the process and allowing my ideas to feed off one another. My art ideas work to generate design ideas, and my design research usually leads me to engaging in community action around LA. And this project was like the Steel Comp project, and we had the site of the Bayona wetlands, and through sort of like researching and working through ideas, I was mostly interested in researching the historical context of the site and was sort of led to find out more things about the Bayona wetlands and the people who are native to Los Angeles, the Tongva people. And it sort of just led me to discover volunteer opportunities that involved the local Native community, and I was able to volunteer at Curavunga Village Springs and was able to become involved in a larger community that was the Indigenous Youth Council, the Los Angeles chapter. And this experience just brought me closer to community in LA, which was definitely a breath of fresh air after having to endure lockdown in a global pandemic. Yeah, so these are some plans from that. It was nice to be able to mix medias and use watercolor and Adobe Illustrator. And the next sort of category is the death card. And the death card can represent rebirth, transformation, and sort of like a metaphysical death of your old self. So wherever there's an ending, there's always a beginning. And entering this phase was hard because we were finally back to in-person, and it literally just felt like being dropped back in life after, just dropped back in life. And at that point, I really wanted to drop out, honestly. I remember even emailing Erin and being like, I don't think I'm going to continue. But I ended up taking the Venice study away in 2022, and that really just grounded me and connected me to both the Woodbury community, but also the history of art and architecture at large. And it allowed me to create new forms of art that were inspired both by the water in Venice and also connected to the Biennale. The next sort of phase or card that's drawn is the star, and the star brings hope and healing and inspiration into a reading. For centuries, people have used the stars to guide them in major decisions of their life or act as a compass as they travel into the unknown. The star encourages you to look for signs and have hope. And post-Italy, I was definitely feeling re-energized, and it allowed me to spend more time doing art and getting involved with art communities around Los Angeles. So this is a photo from the Autry Museum for Indigenous Pride LA back in 2022. And yeah, I just continued to share my artwork more as sort of like an outlet from the stress of the program in a way, but also it fed a lot of my design ideas. And so these are some events I participated in within the past few years, including some galleries like the Debbie Allen Dance Academy and our gallery here on campus, the Nan Ray. I've always liked to sort of integrate fun and femininity into my work. This is from the Armor Studio, where we were asked to create an armor in response to a problem. So this project was in the depths of the pandemic, and I decided to focus my project around mental health awareness, but make it fun. And I'm not sure if this will it's a video, but it might not play, and that's okay. It was LinkedIn. But yeah, just to talk about, so it was like an opportunity to express myself and also talk about issues that are really important to me and integrate them into my design concepts and narratives. Oh, maybe it did want to play. So yeah, this is like the little GIF that we made. But definitely had fun with that. And then the final card of the draw is the tower, and the tower just represents those big changes and surprises. I'm just embracing the change and the unexpected gifts that life has to offer me. And at the beginning of this past summer, I started my work experience, which was really exciting. And this was also painting created around the same time, so like back in May. And yeah, the work experience has been great, just interning at a firm in Pasadena. And having an internship has really illustrated the differences to me from like academia and then the practice. But it's honestly made me more excited to be in studio here and be able to express myself so freely and creatively. And it's also empowered me to bring ideas from studio and play with them in my own art. Like with these hair lamps that I made that were sort of generated from models that were made in last semester's studio with Heather Peterson, where we were just focused on different materiality, and I somehow translated thatching techniques into hair. And then, yeah, just got inspired and made them into my own little projects, which were these little lamps. I like bringing ideas and using my academic time to connect or to comment on issues like I am in my thesis, where I'm looking at the site of the Arroyo Seco motorway and looking at the ways that art and design can help to resist structures of domination, division, and oppression. The project encourages people to think about the ways colonialism, politics, and racism are embedded into the built environment. And as I transition into the professional field as a trained designer, I know that the skills that I was able to build up here at Woodbury will serve me for a lifetime. And I just want to say thanks to my Woodbury community, because it's just been wonderful being in such a nice, tight-knit community. And yeah, we got through it. So that's really exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby. Okay. Our next presenter is the BArch faculty choice also, Jorge Cerdo Schumann, advised for this presentation by Matthew Gillis.
Hello. Okay. My name is Jorge. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today speaking to all of you. I've been attending this wonderful event since my first year, and it's always been truly inspiring. So thank you for selecting me to be a part of it today. I've structured my presentation in a very simple way. I'll take you through my years here at Woodbury, sharing some keynotes from each year. Year one, the year of exploration. It started with a very interesting assignment where we were given a material and we had to explore the limits and boundaries of that material within a bounding box. I had the material of plaster, and plaster was a nightmare. My desk was an absolute war zone for a good amount of the semester. But the satisfaction of peeling away the mold after letting it dry and seeing all of a sudden a perfect little plaster bar on the palm of your hand was absolutely priceless. That's where my love for making kind of began. After that, we brought these to the digital world and brought them back to the physical world using some of the fancier machines that we have at the making complex. It was my first time introduced to laser cutting, 3D printing, CNCing, and so on and so on. This was absolutely overwhelming, but it was overwhelming in a good way. I knew the making complex had to become a bigger part of my career, and it did. I've been working there since my first year, and I still am. After that, the project got a little more complex. We used the bars to develop a marketplace, and it was a great project, but what I will never forget is the physical site model we developed as an entire studio. This thing was amazing. Each student had a very specific role on the production of this site, and it was unnecessarily detailed. I can assure you that if I tried putting together a group of fifth years today to recreate this site model, they wouldn't be capable of. This is what I'm trying to say is first years have a very special energy. And you got to push through and use that energy because it'll definitely set you for the rest of your years at Woodbury. Year two is the year of adaptation. After first year, in many ways, I felt invincible. And it shortly changed after starting this semester. The first part of the semester looked a bit like this. We were studying old tombs and doing a bunch of ratio studies and geometry, and it wasn't too cool, but it just got worse from there. After that, we were doing the same thing, but with a language I didn't speak. I used to hate studio. And what I had to do is start to learn how to let go a little bit and start using Grasshopper, doing what I did understand. And once I found that flow, I was able to find my own voice within Grasshopper. And just at the very end of the semester, we started seeing some results. This was very rewarding. Going from something like this to something like this was the best. And yeah, it was a hard one for sure. After that, we had a very fun assignment where we were told to create some sort of armor that would solve an issue as a student. For me, it was this crazy looking helmet, and I decided to use it, to create it using metalwork. So I used this opportunity to learn how to weld and basic metalwork, and ended up having this crazy looking thing that allowed me to see the same image in several different ways. It was all fun and games until I got a call from my parents saying that there's this crazy virus hitting the entire world, that they're shutting down airports and it's just a big mess, and that I had to pack up my stuff and get back home. You guessed it, It was COVID-19. And yeah, it was definitely a year to adapt and to live the present. But this was a great opportunity for me to spend some time with the family. I wish I packed up my stuff a little better because I took a break from school. I was a year at home, and I did get a chance to work a little bit, but especially spend some time at home. I came back stronger though to year 3. And year 3, the message I wanted to share is that creativity likes simplicity. For the first part of this semester, we were still kind of online, so I had to work with what I had at home. And in this case, it was rubber bands and sticks, and I used this opportunity to learn how to use these tensegrity structures. These things are awesome. I definitely want to keep exploring them. And once I found one that worked, I used it to develop this birdwatching structure that sat at the end of Marina del Rey jetty. This was just a warm-up for the real deal. For the next part of the semester, we were using the same site, but this time a much bigger project, and I was going to share it with someone. That someone was Eloy Sanchez. We developed an amazing professional and personal relationship, and we had a work dynamic that was unstoppable. And it was for a very simple reason. We understood that this project required simplicity. Our first drawing started something like this, and just with 2D manipulation, what I wanted to say with simplicity is that I don't recall opening Rhino in the entirety of that semester. We just worked with 2D manipulations, and this was the first section that ended up looking a bit more like this, just by sending it back and forth, and finally, something like this. This was our secret. This allowed us to move back and forth drawings and do quick changes to our design choices. Year 4 is the year. A lot of stuff went down this year. It started with Comprehensive Studio. Everybody knows Comprehensive is the hardest of them all. It's a marathon with no breaks. And it's all about finding that flow, you know? Once you have a flow and you don't really miss on deliverables, it's really not that bad. But I'm here to tell you that within that flow, you need to find your own voice. For me, it was very simple. We had an adaptive reuse project, and I created some sort of structure that wrapped around the existing building like a snake. And using that theme, I was able to create one of the drawings I'm most proud of from my career, this unrolled section that essentially I could explain my entire project with just this drawing. And eventually a physical model that, again, had way too much detail, but allowed you to really understand the project. After Comprehensive Studio, we normally have Topic Studio, and Topic Studio is, for the most part, a little more laid back and easygoing, but Matthew had different plans for us. Everybody probably knows by now this project. It's been almost a year now since it's been sitting outside of studios. And I'm here to talk about 2 specific things of that project. One, that this was a project of collaboration, and second, that it was a project of logistics. The process that you're seeing on the screen had to happen over 200 times with over 200 different pieces, and it was definitely a race against time. On top of that, we had our beloved Matthew telling us that things weren't straight, sitting on his throne and telling us, and seeing how we were breaking our backs putting this thing together. But we loved it when he did that, of course. I'm just kidding. And especially the collaborative aspect of this project. Me as well as Eloy are minoring in computer science, and computer science, we thought this was a great opportunity to join both worlds. We lit this thing up at night by adding dynamic LED lights. It made the project infinitely harder, but I think it was worth it at the end. Not only the collaboration with the computer science department, but as well as the architecture department, that gave us money to put this thing to build this thing, and the structural engineer, and of course the Making Complex and Joe for managing the robot, and the students, of course, that we work together. This was probably the happiest day of my career, the day that I thought would never come. And it's the day that we put the last piece. We were all there. We had a little topping out ceremony. We signed the piece and we put a little plant. I think it's still there, but it's kind of dead. But it was great. And we were all there, and we'll never forget that day. So year 5, what now? The prompt for this Grand Critique event was the Year of Power. And what I want to say about the power is, or this year, is that the career of architecture is about ups and downs. And sometimes you need to find comfort when you're in those downs. And if you find that comfort, you have the power, because at the end of that bad journey, there's always a good up waiting for you. So thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Jorge. Oh. Okay, our last but not least presenter is the MArch Student Choice, Prem Sirin Sagnanon, advised for this presentation by Viva Rubin.
Hi everyone, I'm Prem Sirin Sanganon. I believe that architecture has the power to bring happiness and create lasting memories. Through my projects, I aim to present my power can infuse joy into architectural spaces. This project is Hotel in the Desert, located in Pioneer Town. For the program, I started from a question: what do people like to do in the desert? Some people, they just want to get away from the city, and some people, they just want to do something fun like extreme activities. So I decided to have extreme activities in this project. So I have go-kart track, climbing space, and paintball. So it means the main circulations is gonna be a group or a family. And for the room types, of course, it's for groups, which are double, and cabana. This is my concept model. I try to test the connection between go-kart track and an object. So after that, I got the main system, like how I cut the object. When I cut as a quarter of the circle, means a private garden. Arc means a go-kart parking, and rectangle means entrance. For the site plan, I put the go-kart track first, and then unit room just plug into the go-kart track. The go-kart track just goes up and down, and some moment has different angle, so you can see intersection. And this is my physical model. We choose to do just one unit room, and it has to be like the highlight and has something special. So I choose to make a model for this unit room because it's next to scoreboard and start point. The next project is family-friendly museum. The main user of this project is families, parents and kids. When we talk about kids, sometimes we need free play or space for them that they can run or play around. And most of museums don't serve those spaces, but this project can solve those problems. This project is on Alvarado Street and Wushao. The site, we have an existing building which used to be Westlake Theater. And for the right side, we have Yoshinoya and parking lot. The program of this project is parents are in the center and the kids are around them and they can see each other all the time. The concept parents are in the tower and the kids area is in the circulation that go around the tower as a spiral. Adaptive reuse analysis, I decided to keep the auditorium because it's the main function of Westlake Theater. This project has 5 towers, 1 for service, 3 private zone, and 1 for public zone. When I put all 5 towers, I created the walls on the right side that look similar as existing walls. And also it can protect homelessness that stay around at the corner to not get into the building. The outdoor area activities will give some sense what the next tower is. And you can see the circulation around the tower is not just a circulation, but it has activity for kids, such as reading area, painting area. The left diagram have showed the structure of circulations, tower, existing columns, and new columns. The slope of the circulation can be used as a passive rainwater. When it rains, it can flow along the slope to the green area. The material for kids circulation is polycarbonate. When people walk or drive past by, they can see a little bit of kids' movement. The sections show the existing auditorium, semi-outdoor space, and natural lights. Construction and building detail, I'll show the joint between circulation and the tower, and how I put polycarbonate in the wall. And this is the view. The left side is structure model, and the right side is structure and envelope model. Last project is called Cyberpunk. We explore how to use AI and V-Ray. This project, I've designed a totem and created the environment around the totem. So first, I chose 5 materials for my totem. And this is my design. 1 for daytime and 1 for nighttime. I really like the light and the color in the night scene, so I chose to do the night scene for my final. After I got my totem, I asked AI to create the environment for me. So I wrote the prompt that I want to have Tokyo cyber vibe or cyberpunk, and this is what I got. And this is a final look. And these are some of my models collections in 2013, 2023. Lastly, I hope everyone see how much the power of architecture gives people happiness. So my power as a trained architect in the world post-graduation is to transform spaces into joyful, cheerful places, creating environments that touch the human soul, leaving good memories. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for sharing your amazing work. If I could have all the presenters join me on stage and take a seat, we can open it up to questions.
Don't leave yet, it's still Q&A.
This is the fun part. Don't leave. Okay. Aaron Gensler and I will be in the audience, handing off the microphones to anybody who wants to get it started.
Do we have any questions? Are you raising your hand? Just waving. Hey, Eric.
Should I maybe get us started a little bit? Oh, there's a question.
So this would be a question for everybody, but what was your most favorite and least favorite material you used? And then what would you say was the longest you spent on a model?
I would say definitely wood. If you saw the presentation, it was the pavilion. It literally took us about I want to say 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a half. Yeah, but that was Monday through Sunday. Like we were here in school, like Monday through Sunday, trying to work on that and finish it. And that was honestly one of the most successful projects to be able to work at 1-to-1 scale. So at least that's for me.
For me, wood also, because for my experience, and I think I'll make a lot of like physical model or like real model like to use like in real life. So I think wood is the best choice to use because the more you use it, the more the color changes, but in the good way. It gets darker, and it's beautiful. Yeah.
Hello. For me, it's a little different. I think the material I've most liked, or least liked using is probably resin. But the material I most like using is probably also resin. So there's like a pretty interesting love-hate relationship over there. And I don't know what to tell you about the project I've spent most time working on, or the problem. They all feel eternal sometimes.
I would say my least favorite material is probably foam core because I never mastered cutting foam core. But I would say I would also have to agree that wood is very versatile and you can use it in any way you want. But also 3D printing as well, if it's an option.
Okay. I feel like I usually work with sort of unconventional materials. Like I've used the things that are coming to mind are like I used paper mache in the past. I've used hair. I've used like fabric. Like right now I'm trying to tuft for something for thesis. So I enjoy like that material exploration, and I guess my least favorite materials are sort of the more conventional ones, or like chipboard, stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan, but I enjoy making stuff with hair, so.
Pretty straightforward question. What was your favorite studio?
Well, for me, it was definitely Venice Study Away. That's an easy answer. Just because we were working in watercolor. Eric Olson loves that answer, yes. But yeah, him and Paulette and Jerry just made a wonderful experience and wonderful trip. So that was definitely my favorite.
For me, I wouldn't know what to tell you. I think all studios have good and bad. I definitely love making, so I would say some of the topic studios that I've been able to choose that are very related to what I like have been my favorite. But as well as the Grasshopper semester, for example, I used to hate that, but looking back, I really truly loved that project and that semester. So it's all kind of biased, I guess. yeah, all of them.
Eloy, are you going to tell us?
I don't know, it's hard. You know, like same, I think I appreciate every studio. Every studio kind of showed me new skills, I met new people, like at the beginning. I didn't talk to anybody, so it was nice when it was starting to like slowly like progress. So I think, you know, maybe, I don't know, that's hard. You know, because I also started developing like a really passion or dedication to like crafting and fabrication too, you know, and like a lot of studios towards the end right now have been focusing on that, like the pavilion we did with Matthew, and also the weaving I did for Heather Peterson, and obviously right now for thesis, like we're still building a lot of models for it with Annalie. So yeah, I mean, I'd say those are my 3 top right now.
You don't have to tell us if you don't want to.
Hello. Yeah. For me, is my favorite semester is comprehensive class with Aviva. I think it was very hard, but it was fun also. And I think I've learned a lot from that semester, and yeah. That's a tough one.
Maybe phrase it differently. What you're about to enter the profession. You're a semester away. What are you most apprehensive about going into it, or what are you feeling most unprepared for?
For me, drawings. I feel like drawing is like my weakness. It's one, but I try to do my best. But you know, like I had a like 1.5 year experience to work as an architect in Thailand, and I feel like what I've learned and what I can use in real career or in real life, it's hard to like connect it. It's like I love to think about concept or like something that too fun or too crazy, but you know when you work in real life, but you cannot use it. So I think like the drawing is like the missing one that I have. Yeah.
For me, I guess it's more to do with I think I have a pretty specific maybe like what I want to do in the future is not very conventional, and finding those things in the real world sometimes looks a little more scary. So I'm not sure how to solve that, but I guess that's my question now. How do I begin to find like things that are a little less unconventional in the architecture field that maybe suit me better than what is more of the norm.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good question. And I could easily say like, oh, we don't learn enough CAD or we don't learn enough like drawing styles and stuff. But I really feel like that is meant to be learned in the working world. And there's no way, I just feel like there's no point in sort of teaching those things sometimes within like architectural education. I think the valuable thing that we can learn from this is truly to just like believe in ourselves and learn how to get that confidence through having professors who let us try things and let us fail and let us get back up again and try it again. So I think that's really like the best thing I've learned here, and I think we've all sort of touched on a bit in our presentations, is like the room to experiment and be creative, and that really just builds confidence. So when you do go into the working world, you know that you can handle things. Like, I mean, you guys, after building that pavilion, you can definitely handle how to learn CAD, you know? So it's just, I think that's really what's important to talk about when we're talking about education and like our education, just because there's no way you can really be prepared for what you're gonna get into, I think. You know, life will, I mean, a pandemic happened, you know, like life throws curveballs, but I think it's mostly the fact that we're here to, yeah, build up our confidence in our own designs and our own voices as young designers.
Kind of want to go off of that too. Like, I feel that's something that we have to work within ourselves. I don't think something that can be taught. It's something that we have to find in ourselves, to push ourselves to get, like, to learn the skills, to learn how to draw, to learn, you know, basic things. Like, sometimes you have to teach yourself. You know, you can't wait for somebody to hand it to you. And it's something that, you know, not the staff here can do it. You know, it's something that we have to work on a personal level where, you know, we have to work on it ourselves. So.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything that's being said. I think also finding your passion and your values within your work, and kind of aligning your work with what you feel that is important to you, is also something that you learn by working on your project, and having that mentor or your professor kind of guide you through your own values and passions within architecture. So I think kind of establishing that is something that can create a more purpose-driven academic career, but also kind of lead into the professional world as well.
I'll ask a question. I think you've all made incredible presentations, and I'm so honored to see the work that you've done, how far you've come, and to be a part of this remarkable community of leadership in the architecture program, Erin Gensler, Parsa Reze, and the incredible faculty who work really, really hard, not just to teach the courses, but to establish, build, cultivate, and maintain a culture that is conducive to learning and to evolving as individuals. And I'm wondering if any of you can reflect upon or identify a particular non-curricular experience you had here, meaning outside the classroom or the studio, that was particularly impactful or meaningful for you. A party, a grand critique, a lecture, etc.
I'll just go ahead because I have a lot of non-curricular interests. But I feel like one thing that I did that's still sort of related to Woodbury, but I was like a tour guide for the school for like 3 or 4 years. So I feel like working in that job through the pandemic sort of just helped me with my public speaking. And I it was something that in the beginning I was like, great, I'm just going to be making a few dollars an hour. It's going to be fine, and I'm going to get like a little check each week. But it turned into something that has like served me way more, like with public speaking and yeah, just figuring out how to find my own voice.
I think for me was joining NOMAS. Like NOMAS was a big part of that push, you know, like finding something outside of studio, like seeking like further, I guess, knowledge from other people, you know, like you were able to network. I had the opportunity to be like the team captain of the competition team, and we managed to go to Portland, you know, like that was a whole different experience, like meeting different people. Like it was honestly something that I don't regret doing, and I definitely encourage others to do. Like it helps to build those skills that you know that you might think you're lacking or that you don't even know you're looking for. You find them there, and honestly, thanks to them, you know, I've gotten here. So
I think for me it's definitely huge having spent so much time in the woodshop. I've been exposed to thesis projects from a freshman to today, and very, very interesting problems that I've seen how they've been solved. I've definitely learned more than I could ask for from the Making Complex. And as well, I was thinking that sharing my work through social media is definitely a huge one. It gives me a way to like share with the people that aren't here with me back at home what I'm doing, and it feels really nice. So that's those are the two things probably.
I used to work as a making model for architecture students, and I think that gave me a lot of experience, and I can use that knowledge to like for school stuff. And I think making model is the things that like I'm so I don't know, like every time that I make model, I'm so happy. And yeah, that's it.
I would have to say that our curriculum being requiring us to actually intern while we are here kind of helps us kind of establish that kind of foot outside of the door, and really help us understand what it's the culture of the studio versus the culture of the professional world. And I think that being a requirement was very beneficial in addition to the pro-prac classes we had. So.
I first of all, like, I really loved all the individuality that you guys had in your presentations. We get to see a piece of who you are in all of your different presentations, which I appreciate. And it's exciting to come back and see, you know, the new people who are going to carry the torch for this school. So I appreciate it, and thank you guys. My question is, with that in mind, I think Ariel alluded to it on Eric's question, but you know, with the topic of power. For any underclassmen or first years that are out here in the audience and experiencing this for the first time, is there any recommendations you have based on your experience in addition to what's already said or what you presented that can help cultivate their own power in this experience and empower them moving forward in this endeavor? Or for faculty, you know, what can the school do potentially for the next ones coming through to empower them?
Is that a question?
Yeah, I think especially for the first years, once you have the power to understand that everyone is in the same boat as you are, and you understand that everyone is there to help, you're pretty much invincible, and everyone is going to help push through. And not only that, not only the freshmen, but the second years, the third years, everyone knows what that's like. So just have the power to understand that, I guess.
I would say, like, especially when it comes to like the critiques, I know I do it too myself, where I sometimes take it personal. But it's like, I feel like some of the critiques are there to help you, whether you want to take it or not. And I feel like that's on you, whether you take it or don't take it. And essentially, you know, they're trying to help you to find your voice, your intent. You know, they're basing it off of what you're saying, what you're showing. Like, take it for a grain of salt. Like, it's up to you, like, whether you want to use it or not use it.
Thanks, everyone. The presentations were really wonderful. I just wanted to offer a comment, not a question, but I think connecting with what Eric said about the value of this event is really in looking at what we're doing here as a community, like the whole school, the whole everything here, how we're teaching, what you guys are doing, what you're learning. And it's great. I mean, you're learning a lot, it seems. But what is the temperature? What do we think are some of the common threads? One of the things that I see in all of your work is this kind of the making of the work, the physicality of it. I really love that. I think in all of your presentations, there's a tangible materiality, working out things through physical models, physical drawings, watercolors, even the accidents that occur through the making of the pavilion. And Ruby, your work is very, very physical, very much about the materiality. And so I'm just wondering, I think this is just an observation maybe, and I don't know if others agree, but that may be how Woodbury is emerging. Its identity, I think, is emerging as a school that's very much about making. And I think we're still recovering from the pandemic, hence the number of people left in the room right now. I mean, I think we have to find ways, this is my critique of all of us, we have to find ways to bring that kind of materiality together with the physical act of doing things, together with, being there, together with the kind of bumping this work up against social causes, social issues in the city, the politics of the work, the power of the work, I think is in all of these kinds of things that are wrapped together. So I don't know, that's kind of maybe it's partially a critique. That's it.
Do you have any feedback on that?
I do agree. I feel like making has expanded like the imagination, I think. Like it's, I know at the beginning that it was kind of hard to, when they told me to make something and just like a concept model and versus like the difference between models, and I think, we could benefit a lot from that, like creating like studying different materials, model making. I think it's a fun way to kind of engage. I know some people might not like making models. They prefer drawing, so I mean, that's my take, though.
I agree with Janine's comment that I feel like this is a really important conversation and we've lost a lot of the students in here. So there will be a quiz that's distributed to everyone and the answer will be green. But I have loved all your presentations. It's been amazing to get to see you guys all grow through this program. I'm saddened that my studio wasn't your favorite, but we'll talk about that later. I think you each have brought something so special, and I think the comment about how these were all individuals and individual perspectives, and there was a diversity in the work and the ideas brings me so much joy about how we're developing a community here. with unique individuals who go out into the world and don't create the same sort of architecture that everyone else does. So I just want to say thank you. I think we don't have any time for more questions, but I'll let Annalie take it away.
Just quickly, I just want to bring up our distinguished dean for the award ceremony, Heather Flood.
Thanks, Annalie. We'll make this quick, but we want to make sure we get some money in your pocket before you leave. So thank you to the student panel for provoking the conversation. And thanks, Annalie, for organizing and conceiving of this event. And Erin, for your oversight, your cheerleading, and endless enthusiasm in getting us all together. It's one of my favorite events of the year. Not just because I'm not in the hot seat, but because it's a moment in time where the academy and the profession come together to support and encourage students. And hopefully, in so doing, you feel empowered to take your provocations that you presented today into the workforce in a few months. Woodbury, we've taught you some fundamentals, but we have not taught them to you so that you go out into the world and reinforce the status quo, but so you have the power to implement your vision for change. Tonight, we're joined by the AIA San Fernando Valley Endowed Scholarship Fund Director, Russell Myers. I would appreciate Russell coming up to the podium to present the awards. The AIA San Fernando Valley is really a committed partner with Woodbury School of Architecture, who believe that the profession will benefit from the diversity of individuals and ideas in this room today. In fact, they believe that so strongly that in 2016, they raised $150,000 for the School of Architecture, which funds the annual scholarships that we will be distributing now. So, without further ado, Russell, if you would please disseminate the scholarships.
Thank you. Thank you and the School of Woodbury. The first award for the George Terrapazzi AIA Memorial Scholarship Award goes to Ariel Osepian. Congratulations. Push the button.
Yep. There you go.
Oh, I know. All right. For the Bachelor of Architecture student choice, it goes to Eloy Sanchez. Congratulations.
Thank you.
For the faculty choice, Jorge Cerdo Schumann. Congratulations.
Please.
You going to give this one?
I will. I'm going to give 2 awards. There's 2 Dean's Awards. Ruby Pedrazzetti, the Bachelor of Architecture Faculty Choice. And Primsiran Sangjinyan, maybe? Please, Russell.
I'd just like to say I've been coming here for a few years doing this, and it's always impressive that how you aspiring professionals really kind of grow. And that's growing by the nature of the work body you produced and represented, but also by the knowledge and the skill sets. Don't stop, okay? And with respect to power, don't settle for it. Keep growing and gaining it. Okay, good job.
Okay.
Thank you. That concludes Grand Critique. There's a reception out in the atrium, and let's all gather out there. Thank you.